Welcome, welcome, welcome. And today our topic is on cold calling. How to deal with customers, how to deal with buyers, how to deal with sellers when it comes to cold calling. Um, any of you has done cold calling before or speaking to people? What is the biggest challenge at the end of the day? So anybody would like to say what is their challenges are?
Yeah, Ron, I think the one of the challenges that I find sometimes um, is confidence. That confidence to speak to somebody. Um, sometimes you hear the voice, and the voice might be sound like an angry person, and then all of a sudden your confidence goes down the drain with it.
But let me put it to you this way, which is great, because why are we so worried of picking up the phone to speak to somebody on the other side that we don't see, but it's easier to speak to a person in a pub that stands next to you and you don't know. What's the difference? It's the same type of conversation. As how do you figure out what that person needs and or what's a person's pain? The problem is in cold calling, we either work with a script because the brick and mortar company you work for says work with a script, and everybody's got the script on their computer, and all of a sudden you get a person like me ask certain funny questions, and the script goes through the window. And then, that's the type of answer you're going to get, and the person on the other side puts down the phone because you're just asking simple questions. And the reason for that is because people, at the end of the day, is not prepared speaking to the person. Number one, a lot of agents will pick up the phone, seize a property on property or private property, find out the address, go onto Lightstone, get the details, go onto virtual agents, and phone the person. And at the end of the day, sir, hi, my name is John. I see yours is on the market. Would you like to list it with me? No, I've got too many agents. Boom. Get to the next one. This exercise, what I'm going to show you is how to generate business, because at the end of the day, people would like to work with people they can trust, people that understands how to create a conversation. And cold calling is not just to pick up the phone, close a deal, and say, yes, I've got a mandate, or no, I haven't got a mandate, or yes, I tried to get a mandate, doesn't work. If you know how to create a conversation, people start building trust in you. So what I would like to do is share my screen with you guys. And let's start with the first screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes, yes, we can see it.
Okay. So,
Yes.
all right. So, cold calling. Okay. What are the obstacles in your holding you back from doing cold calling? So, one of the obstacles is but before we're going to go in there, I just want to go into the next slide. And like I said, there's always good low hanging fruit in old listings as well. So at the end of the day, if you look at a cold call, the first thing you want to get is a yes. Do you agree with me? You want to get a mandate. Is it a sole mandate? What is the timeline of that sole mandate? Open mandate? All of this has got to do with your cold calling exercises, but figuring out what the sole mandate is, what's the open mandate, what is the timeline when the sole mandate's done. So how do you identify that? So you go start with your property 24, start with the old listings for the area, find out if that property is sold on the books. You might see a sole mandate, but it's signed in August 2024. As we know, most sole mandates is for 3 months. So this is a great opportunity to figure out by start creating a conversation, and it will go like this. Hey, Johan, I see your property's on the market since August 2024. I'm just updating my records. I just want to find out, have you still got a sole mandate or has it been sold? So that starts to create a conversation, not just jumping in and says, sir, I would like to have a sole mandate, or can I get a mandate from you? Start figuring out why the mandate is so long on the books, because that's your timeline. If you know what the timeline is, you can diarize it in your diary or into PropCon and put it as a task. Put that task into um, a diary and put a note on there. I spoke to Jan. His sole mandate will expire in 3 or 4 months' time, and you put a date in. In the meantime, in between, send him a WhatsApp message. How are you doing? How's the weather? Whatever you want to do by keeping him informed going forward. In the buyers, when you speak to buyers, you might have a buyers list, figure out what their status is. Uh, have they checked their credit report lately? Have they done are they maybe under debt review? When last did they do a pre-qualification? Start creating that conversation regarding the buyer. In what area do they want to buy? Figure out what their wish list is. What is the wish list? Okay, and I'm going to go into the wish list a bit later on. You know, what is the reason why did they say no? Figure out what that no is. How can I help you? Now, this is quite an interesting one. I had a call today with a person, and the person says, not today, 2 weeks ago, I had a call with a person with another agent, and the person, and it's a bank repo. It says, I'm not interested in selling. It's my house. I'm not prepared to sell. I got involved and I got my financial literacy skills together, and I start chatting to the person and first made them calm and got them on my side, figure out what their pain is. And I said, and the closing statement was, if you're not going to sell, the bank is going to sell their house on auction, and you're going to pay somebody else's bond, and you're never going to have a roof over your head while you're paying that bond. And through this, I created a conversation, but I didn't just create that conversation. I created a lead, which I'm going to work on for the next 2 or 3 years, because I know when I get a credit worthy again, she's going to buy from me because I looked after her going forward. So when you get a no, sometimes it's not a no that they're not going to sell. They're not right. They're not ready now to do a mandate. It's how you put your timeline in, because people will buy from people. I had a client which reached out to me in 2016 through Facebook. We're working, and I was working with her, and just being in a relationship by saying to her, how's things going? How can I help you? And she purchased a property from me. I've never met her. She wanted to buy a property in Boksburg. I sorted out a property for in Boksburg. I dealt with the seller. Everything was done online, and everything was followed through the channels of the PPRA and all the different acts. At the end of the day, by being in touch with her, by creating conversations, we got a deal done. And it's all got to do by understanding your client, understanding conversations going forward. You need to understand what the tools are you using. Use your diary by diarizing all the properties. Last week I spoke about Trello. You can use Trello by putting information in from pulling from Property 24. You can then diarize those listings and making it work for you at the end of the day. It's all got to do with what's going to work for you as an agent. But your diary is the most important key point, because if you can fill up your diary, that is when you start making the money. And you have to follow a 90-day principle. So I will be doing, in 2 weeks' time, I will do a 55-point plan. You have to apply that into a 90-day circle to fill up your mandates and fill up your diary, that you can have a constant flow of mandates and buyers, that you can start selling properties at the end of the day. So what other tools have you got? You've got Propcon, you've got MailChimp, you've got the portals. Portals are a great way of figuring out what the person wants. So let's look at the portal. What does the portal tell me? There's a property in Blowback. Okay, where in Blowback? No, Parklands. Now it's on in Parklands North. I will then pull the statistics of Parklands North before I speak to the client and say, okay, the properties in this area, so many properties sold. This is what the property market requires. But Parklands has got a problem which might not suit you for my buyers, because at the end of the day, there's not enough schools. So there's a different angles for figuring out what your client requires. Doesn't matter if it's a buyer or a seller, but we'll go more in a deeper dive. So this is just a bit of a guideline, what we're speaking about today. So let's look at reasons why some real estate agents might not enjoy cold calling. And the first one is rejection. Why is it so important to you guys? You're just speaking to a person. They just said, no, I've got enough agents. Just get on to the next one. All of a sudden, we all go into a depression because we feel rejected because the person said no. If you look at, I'm just using Blouberg because I'm comfortable with Blouberg. There's 66,000 rooftops. You must get one person that's going to say yes. If one person says no, you're just going to put down your phone and says, no, it's not working for me. We need to go back and find out why. What did I do different of not closing the deal? Because don't worry about rejection. It's that person's loss of saying no. A lot of says, oh, I haven't got the time. Hang on. If you haven't got the time, why are you in this business? Because if you can start controlling the mandates at the end of the day, you can control the business. So most agents will rather run with buyers instead of running with mandates, because it's easier to run with the buyers and try to sell other agents' properties. Instead of being control of that mandate, let the other guys come to you to bring them the buyers that you still can get 50%. Because if you know how to start controlling market by cold calling and building relationships with the sellers, that is when you start making money. Most people say it's too difficult to connecting with prospects. The reason why it's difficult is because people don't understand how to use systems. And in this exercise is what we're doing on every Thursday is, how do we create systems to make our life easier to connect with sellers, buyers, or with agents by networking? People say, oh, it's a limited success. Well, the question you need to ask, what is limited success? Is one mandate at the end of the day a limited success? So if you get one mandate a month, you'll got 12 mandates. If each mandate is worth 100,000 rands worth of commission, it's 1.2 million. Is that the limited success? Think about it. The big other thing is unproductive conversations. Most people say, no, it's unproductive. I don't know what to say to the client. Why? Because at the end of the day, you never figured out what your client wants. I'll contact the pressure. It's not for me. Then real estate is not your game, because real estate is a high pressure business. The successful agents who does more than a million rands worth of commission is about 2%. Did you know about 67% of all agents in that, not just in South Africa, all over, might sell one property a year? It's because lack of training, lack of communication, and not understanding what to do. People are so worried about their reputation. What if the person says no and he's going to tell my friend because my friend knows that person and he told me I was rude? Tough. Life is too short to worry about negativity. Limited time to follow up. No, because most agents just wants the business at the end of the day. They don't want to follow up. I mean, I'm sitting with people that's sitting with all the properties, but they don't know how to follow up. They don't know how to even use an email. They don't even know how to send WhatsApps. All they're interested in is seeing the people drinking coffee and creating conversations. But if you know how to follow up and how to work with that buyer and seller through the cold calling, this is how you can start generating business. Let me explain to you what happened. I had a client from Durban. She phoned me on a property from my roof and says, "Have you got a property? I'm looking for this property. I can't remember what the coastal town is." So I said, "Yeah, not a problem." But I says the property has been sold. In the meantime, by creating a conversation with her, she gave me a mandate in Durban. So working with her, she phoned me 3 weeks later and says, "Listen, I'm ready to purchase another property. Can you find a property for me in also a coastal town?" I don't want to mention the coastal town. I says, "Not a problem." I then phoned a couple of agents, got the listings, put it through a PropCon, send it through to her. I says, "You find something for me, and I'll see if I can find something for you." It says, I asked her, "Why do you want to work with me?" I says, "Because you getting back to me. All the agents aren't getting back to me." Says, "Okay, let me do the bit of the dirty work. Let me send the listings through PropCon for her, and I'll still pick up 50% of the deal." I don't even have to see her. All I do is I negotiate the deal between the agent, the buyer, and the seller. At the end of the day, is how do you create that conversation? People are so worried about the POPI Act. Why worry? I mean, if a person's name is on social media, if the person's name is his email address is on Google, are you contravening the POPI Act? It's it's on social. It's there for everybody. All they have to say is no. You're allowed to phone one person. If he says no, remove me from the database, that's fine. Just remove him from the database and carry on. So don't worry about what people think and what people say. So on this slide, is there any questions you guys like to ask? Johan, Wilda, Morveni?
Um, yeah, thank you very much for this lesson. I think it's very important for us to learn how to do cold calling. The one question that I do have is, does one necessarily have to pick up a phone and do verbal communication, or can it be via WhatsApp? Can it be via email?
Okay, it's very simple for me to answer that, Johan. How many emails have you looked at spam? How many WhatsApps?
WhatsApps, I've got a lot. I actually do the business via WhatsApp.
Yeah. Send me a WhatsApp. I say your property's on the market. Are you interested in putting on the market? I won't even blue tick you. I will just delete the message because at the end of the day, there is no personal touch. I want to create a conversation with you on. Why do I want to do that? Because if I can sell Johan's property or I want to sell Wilna's property, and if I create a conversation, it's because I've got a passive income. Because Because I would look at Modavedi, he might be 30 years old. He's starting off with a young family. Now the kids are out of he might have had a two-bedroom flat. Now he wants a three-bedroom house because the kids wants to play outside. So the buyer becomes a seller and the seller becomes a buyer. So I've got two deals by creating a conversation with people, bringing them in because I will be their doctor. I mean, think about this, Johan. If you're going to send your doctor, it says, "Listen, I've got a headache. Please answer, please send me my prescription by means of WhatsApp. Maybe I can resolve my headache." What's the doctor going to do? Or the mechanic?
He's gonna laugh. Yeah.
Or the mechanic says, "Can you sort out my car? I think my plugs are gone. Can you give me advice?"
Mm.
Are you going to go to a mechanic like that?
No, no.
So why send a WhatsApp to people? If because I said you're not serious on your business. I see a lot of agents doing it, and some of them might be saying, "Okay, that's okay," but at the end of the day, are they doing? Are they looking after the client or are they looking after their pocket? And that's a thing that that's what people needs to figure out. Is it for me or isn't it? As I say, real estate's got a bad name because everybody's trying to spam, but nobody's prepared to create a conversation. Um, Anybody else like to ask a question?
Rona, I just want to say I totally agree with you on that one. People like to interact. They've got to start trusting you in order to form a relationship. But I think, if you start with realty, it's a little bit difficult. It does take time to build up relationships and to build up the confidence to get there.
No, I fully agree. And the last point on this slide is the lack of training. And this is where people miss. I mean, it doesn't matter for which company you're working for. If you're not going to go and get involved with training, doesn't matter if it's product training, cold calling training, or just mandate training, you're going to lose out. So before you start cold calling, identify your target market. Okay. If you're gonna if you're gonna do the shotgun approach and try to get mandates all over, you're not gonna control the area that you want to work on. So if you understand what you want to do, if you look at that slide from Brian Tracy, it says 80% of prospects say no 4 times before they're gonna say yes. Okay. You need to identify the target market. What is your target market? Is it luxury? Is it Airbnbs? Is it investors? Or is it just the average person that's earning a normal wage? Is it the CEO that you want to deal with? What is your target market? Where is your area that you want to work with? Work 80% in the area that you're comfortable with, build a brand in the area, and people say, "Oh, that's a person I would like to work with." Mine is totally different because I work in the financial literacy. I help people to become debt free. I've got the whole of South Africa phoning me, and I link people up and generate business that way because I understand what my target market is. I understand how to remove people from debt review. I understand how to sort out their credit reports. I know how to work with a bond originator. I know how to buy back my time and network with agents who wants to work with me. It's like today. Two big estate agents phoned me, plus an attorney to help them to qualify people at the end of the day. Is how I leverage my time to understand what my target market is, to give proper feedback, to get those leads through, because I know that when that lead goes through of helping that buyer or that seller, they've got 3 or 4 more people that they're going to introduce me to that will build up my referral base. But if I'm going to send them a WhatsApp, are they going to get back to me? They'll say, "No, this person is not serious." At the end of the day, you have to create the opportunity for people that can trust in you. So to give you an idea, develop a script. So for instance, the script today, as an example, what happened with the budget speech? 0.5% or 1% budget on VAT. So my name is John. I'm phoning. I see your houses on the market. Did you know that the 1% could be an influence on your sale of transfer fees? It could be a sale on the municipality updates on your municipality account. What do you think of this? It's just something to create a conversation with. There's a two C's: create a conversation and have something in common. So those are a couple of ideas that a person can work with. The sporting events. Let's say, for instance, a rugby tournament taking place. So at the end of the day, oh, we've got the Springboks playing. Are you going to go to the game? Create that conversation because there's something in common. We've got kite surfing taking place in Blouberg. Hey, it's ideal to canvas a kite surfers. You might have an Airbnb and say you can maybe generate $50 a day or $20 a day, whatever it is. Create that conversation. Understand your market. Because if understanding the market, it makes life easier on your cold calling. Set your goals. Okay, how many people you want to call? So think about it. If you can have 5 people a day that you can phone, 5 people a day times 20 days a month, you've got 100 people. If 5% says yes, you've got 5 mandates. Times it by 12. How many mandates have you got? It might not be 5 straight away, but 5 conversations that you carry. And if you carry that over 5 years, by putting it in your diary, by tracking those clients, how many people would you have in your business by helping people grow your portfolio and having people trusting you at the end of the day? This is what successful agents do, is because I just want to stop the share here quick. The question to the team here: what is the most valuable commodity on earth at the moment or in the world? What would you say?
Time.
Nope. What is the most valuable commodity to trade with at the moment?
Gold.
Gold.
Modibeni, what would you say?
I'm actually going with gold as well.
Gold.
Yes.
What if I tell you it's something 100 times more valuable than gold?
I would like to have
Probably
some
copper.
of that.
Okay. What if I tell you you've got it as well? You carry that every day with you.
Is it knowledge?
No. It's your cell phone.
Heart.
Well,
Every ID number will generate you 10, 12, 15 revenue streams. Can gold do that to you? So data is the most valuable commodity in the world. Million times more than gold.
Yeah.
So if you look at Facebook, I'm using Facebook as an example. Donald Trump won his elections through, and you can go go look for a documentary called The Great Hack. And it's got to do with data points. Social media figured out that everybody's got 5,000 data points. And those data points has got to do with sport. Might just be hunting. It might just be hairdressing. But if you look at searching the internet, what do you find? If you speak about a car, all of a sudden Facebook's algorithm will show you all the cars. If it's a Peugeot, you'll be flooded on TikTok because I looked at the Peugeot. While I'm speaking to you, Google is busy listening, and I'll probably go find out in Facebook that cars will be coming through, because data is valuable because it's sellable. And this is why it's important, by setting your goals, sorting out the people's ID numbers, that it can start creating that revenue stream, because every telephone number after that conversation, you can send them a WhatsApp through that listing. Happy birthday. Be in contact with that person. That's what's going to start generating you the income. And that's what's important going forward. So let's go into the next slide. So set your goals. Prepare your workspace. So when you do cold calling, make sure that when you look at a person on property 24 that you want to cold call, okay? The question I'm going to put forward, just hang on. Okay. If you prepare your workspace, so if you want to go cold call, take your time out and have 5 listings. And in that 5 listings, let's say for instance, I've got a flat in Blouberg. What conversation are you going to have? Has it got sea views? Sir, I see your flat is on the market. Are you a kite surfer? No, I'm just a pensioner. Oh, how long have you been on pension? You see what I've done is I created that conversation. At the end of the day, by creating that conversation, things work. Yesterday, I spoke to Vilna, and she was cold calling somebody, and it was more of an emotional one, and I'm not going to go into it. The person at the end of the day sent Vilna a great testimonial of taking interest with that person and a good possibility that she's going to get that mandate because she used her knowledge and training and coaching skills by helping that person to overcome those hurdles. The mandate took second best, but the conversation took the priority. And at the end of the day, she was happy of just chatting to somebody. Remember, people are lonely. People like to have conversations, but you need to write it in the book. What type of questions? Where's that property? Where is it? What type of property have you got? Is it a retirement village? Is it a luxury property? Are you an investor? Are you downsizing? What is it? What you're going to do to speak to that client? And we're going to go into more of a depth regarding that. Research your market. If you go into property 24, you can research a market. What is the crime statistics? Or you can go into the areas, Google, put the crime statistics in. People are moving from Joburg. I mean, there's 750,000 people coming from Joburg to the Western Cape. The market is up in Blouberg. It's gone up with, I mean, I spoke to somebody in Edgemead. The properties went up with 200,000 rand. I mean, Vilna done a rental the other day, and I think there were 65 people just looking after one rental. So those are conversations that you can create with a person by researching it, because the flat was in Blouberg. People are looking at Blouberg, which is close to the bus rank, close to the beach, close to a kite surfer, or to doing kite surfing. All of this will help that your research by creating that conversation with that seller as well as that buyer, depending how you look at your market. Develop a follow-up plan. So this is where your WhatsApp comes in. John, thank you very much for your call. I'll keep in touch, and all of a sudden you're finished with a conversation. When you put down the phone, send him a WhatsApp. Thank you very much. I thought I'll just drop you my business card, and maybe you might find something interesting by looking at my testimonials as well as my listings. Have an awesome day. Diarize it in a month's time or 2 months' time when it's fine, and start creating that conversation, or every now and then send him a quote. And like, for instance, a great quote will be, it says, I'm a great Napoleon Hill fan. I thought I'll give you this quote that says, think whatever the mind can conceive, it can achieve. What are you going to achieve for today? Be awesome, baby, great. Just something simple and make it fun. And this is how you can start creating that conversation, but also leaving a footprint on WhatsApp that you don't hound him by a call, but your name is always out there. You can always post something interesting using WhatsApp on your update status, and get people to be interested in, so they can see what you giving back to the industry. Like I'll put a little video up yesterday on from debt review to pre-approval, and I had 3 leads that came through just on that by using something simple. That allows me to create that conversation because it becomes a warm lead. It's not a cold lead anymore. If you know how to create certain systems through social media, email campaign, whatever, you can start generating warm leads. Any questions on that slide? Esther, welcome. Is there anything that you like to ask?
Not at the moment. I understand what you just explained.
Okay. Moribeni?
Ron,
Yes,
sorry.
Noni. Yes.
Yes, so I find that like with cold calling, usually I don't spend more than a minute on it. That has actually worked for me. I will just refer to the property. I don't actually ask for the mandate. I just let them know that I see that the property is in the market, and then I just tell them what the commitment is from my side and what I'll do to advertise the property and what I've evaluated it on. And then usually it turns out to actually being a sole mandate. So that's how I changed the open mandate to sole mandate.
And the reason for that, Noni, is how do you change that open mandate to a sole mandate? What do you do differently?
So it's like, you start by talking to a person. So for example, if I were calling you and I see that your property is on property 24 or private property, I'll be like, good day. Am I speaking to Mr. Rice? Hi, my name is Noni. I work for Remax Close in Panorama. I see your property has been on the market for a while, and it's then ask them first, have you got a sole mandate? And then usually most people don't know. And then what you do is like, oh well, I signed something, and then I'm like, well, I see it's also under a bond. Have you let your bank know that you have to give them a 90-day notice? From there onwards, usually most agents don't do that. So
Okay.
then they don't know that you have to give them. So then the person starts taking a bit of an interest. Sorry, there's a bit of noise in the background. They start taking a bit of an interest because you're showing them something else that their agent didn't know or tell them about, that, you incur penalties if you don't. Then you start having a conversation about that, and then they ask which Remax, then you tell them which one, but then because I've lived in this area. I know the area very well. I know how the properties are, how much they're going for. Then, like you said, with the conversation, and then you end up having that mandate. And then already I would have done my homework from Lightstone and Loom, and also done the market analysis and seen, because sometimes just a street away can make the property evaluation differ. For example, like on Fort Tracker, on the main road,
Yeah.
and one street behind, it's actually a nice suburb. The properties can sell for more than 300,000 more. So just by having that information and that knowledge, and also just coming from, you're not asking for the mandate, you're asking, you're telling them the value that you add if you listed it on their behalf, and then seeing that, okay, based on where your property is, this is what they've told you to do. But then half the time I end up selling at what the person has asked, because the other agents have told them to drop it so much because they don't know the area very well. I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay, but the key word was through that is creating a conversation.
Yes, by having a conversation
And
with someone, yeah.
because you're not selling, because most agents sell and trying to get a mandate. What we're
Yes,
trying to
so
do is try to create a conversation.
yeah, you have a conversation with the person, and then you also tell them, you ask them what's the reason why they are failing. You try to understand the client. Oh no.
100%.
You try to understand the reason why they want to sell and how quick they want to sell, if it's tenanted or not, or and also just the questions that some other agents miss out on. And then
100%.
from that, then you find something in common, especially if they know the area and they see that, okay, like, oh, I actually go shopping in that place, and just a street behind, for example, I'm trying to get a client to buy who wants to buy in by the beachfront, but I'm telling her that actually in Kraftula or by Aram or by Porterfield, there are cheaper ones, but it's actually like about a 5 minute walk to the beach. So you don't have to pay the hectic prices, but because you know the area, it actually works on your favor. So then
Correct.
that's the conversation that actually gets them there. And then half the time it actually makes your life easier as an agent because they end up sending you the properties that they like, you
100%.
know,
So on this,
and then like it makes your life easier because then I don't have to go looking for stock. So I'm like, okay, show me what it is that you like, but don't contact the agent. Let me actually see if it actually works well for you. And then that's where the loyalty and the trust becomes, and they will always come back. At least that's my experience.
no, 100%, Nonny, which brings me to the next point, is applying the Lord approach. Exactly what you're saying there. And the Lord approach stands for, the L stands for location, O stands for occupation, recreation, and dream. So the location is where's the property situated? The occupation, where do you find the occupation? Sometimes you can find the person's occupation on social media. The occupation could be by looking at his ID number. Find out there might be a pensioner. He could be, and if you do a bit of a deep search, you can find out it might be an investor. What is his recreation? What does he love doing? All of this is what you can start creating conversations when you do cold calling, which will then help you to get the business done. Because at the end of the day, is he might not buy from you now, but being in their face, being in conversation with him, follow up. This is how you can start creating more business for you going forward.
Yes, and also
But
another thing I wanted to add, and I'll be quick, is that like I actually also spend time with clients. I mean, sorry, with purchasers who, they say purchasers are liars and sellers are even worse. I think we spoke about it uh, together the other day. And so what I end up doing is that like I ask the purchaser like to actually send me an email and actually just like speak to them. Like because now Fika is really, really strict. And then you can show their commitment. But if they don't want to um, send you anything or start questioning whether or not they can afford, then it's a waste of time,
yeah,
but then you see that
9%,
no,
Nonny,
no,
but sorry, Nonny, to cut you short. This is purely to do cold calling, not to get buyers. All this conversation is how do you get cold calling done by helping people over the phone. For all of that you're saying which is great.
that's what I'm saying. Sometimes when you call, you get a simple no, like, why
Yeah,
is everyone calling me? Where do you get the numbers from? And you keep it short and you say, look, we are allowed to do this, and
yeah,
I can only speak for my agency. I don't know who else is calling you, and
yeah.
I'll just remove you from the system, and then keep it less than a minute and thank them for their time. And if they do buy through someone else or sell or whatever, and then you say thank you very much for your time and congratulate them, and they'll come back again. That's been my
100%.
experience.
No,
And
100%.
I'm gonna mute myself now. Thank
Yeah,
you.
100%. So the key to is exactly what you said, Nonny, is to start with a warm greetings. And exactly what Nonny said. Find a common ground. ask open-ended questions. And the key to all of this is listen to what the people want, not what you want to try to sell them or why you want to get that mandate. Why? It's because listening is a key to your success. If you don't listen to your customer, you're going to lose a deal. Be authentic. So people need to know who you are, what you're doing. Give a bit of a background about yourself. I mean, it's hard because people love talking. At the end of the day, you need to create that conversation, but you have to start with a warm greeting. Find out what you've got in common. And by starting with a common is going back to the previous slide by applying the Lord approach. So that's one of the things that's very important. The other key is understanding why are they selling. It's also a way of creating a conversation. Are you upsizing, downsizing? Have you got, how many times have you had speaking to the seller? Well, I'm selling because I've got my mother-in-law, or I've got my kids moving back home, or my wife's pregnant. We're looking now for a 4th bedroom, or we're moving out of my flat. I'm looking for a house with a garden. I like to play ball with my son, or put a dollhouse up. Whatever it is figure out why they're selling. It's a great conversation. Why are they relocating? Is it financial reasons? You know, it's how you deal with that person. Today I worked with a person in Joburg. He's thinking of selling because he's under pressure because his overtime was reduced. I says, don't sell because you're not going to get your price. Rather negotiate with your credit providers. Let's wait till market turns in Joburg, because the market is a down cycle of 3%. Wait for another interest rate. Then we can maybe sell. Maybe you can make 200,000 and more on your property, which you can do a consolidation. So I started to create my skill set with him by helping him out. What is the lifestyle changes? What is the property condition, the investment, family reasons? All of those things you can start creating conversations with for your cold calling by creating that conversation for people that they buy from you going forward. So tools that can make cold calling work for you is using PropCon by syndication, different scripts. You can create if you've got a phone, like for instance, you're working for, like Noni might be working for Remax, they might have a auto dialer in there. So you can maybe have all your leads in there, and the auto dialer will, as soon as you finish with the one conversation, the next one can come through. So it saves you the time to dial the numbers already been uploaded onto the system, to the auto dialer, and you just click for the next one, and it just makes your life easy. Using CRM systems, you can use call identity, figuring out if that's the right person you want to deal with, an email campaign. So all of this can help you to help your cold calling exercises going forward. Diarizing the information, person might not be there. The maid might pick up the phone, or the husband says, or the wife can pick up the phone. No, speak to my husband at 6 o'clock tonight. All of a sudden, while you created that conversation, you know exactly what to say to the husband. So this is your ways and means to help you with your cold calling exercise. Other tools that you can use: CMA, Lightstone, virtual agent, prompt syndication, social media, great opportunity to get new leads through social media. Figuring out the Lord approach in social media. Person is walking down the beach with a dog. Hey, what type of dog? It's a corgi. I mean, my sister's got one now. You can create that conversation about dogs or pets. You know, it's what you use at the end of the day. How do you utilize portals? I mean, I sat with Volna the one day and we were looking for a property. All I've done is I use Google search. I use Google images. No address. We figured out where the property is. We phoned the person and we created a conversation. It's sometimes we have to spend time to make business work. All I'm saying is, if you can find 5 people or 10 people a day, how many people have you got in your contact base to build up a relationship in your 13th month? What about 2 years? What about 5 years? You see, at the end of the day, by creating conversations, by starting with cold calling to get people into your cell phone contacts, how easy it is to send maybe a WhatsApp, happy birthday, well done with the achievement. I saw your son at the rugby, or I see your son done quite well on kite surfing. I liked your daughter's cake on Facebook. How awesome is that? All of this starts to help you to build up your database, but it starts off with number one, phoning the person. And this is where the problem comes in, is getting the no. And you can take a photo of the screenshot on this. And I'm just going to use one. And I'm just going to take a random one. And it says, no problem at all. If you ever have a chance, change of heart, and know someone else who may be interested in selling their property, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always there to help. So you see what I've done on the script. They might not be ready to sell, but their friend might be ready to sell. So now you're picking up another lead. If you look at the last one, thank you so much for speaking with me today. I want to make sure that you have all the access to all my information you need and make an informed decision about your property. Would you be comfortable sharing your email address with me so that I can send you some helpful resources to keep you updated on the market? What do you think of that? Some of those scripts of getting a no. John, would you like to add something there?
Yeah, that's very encouraging, because I think I think we're also met with fear.
Yeah.
The fear of no. And the slide that you just shown, I think gives us encouragement to accept the no and to carry on, as you said before. You know, you need to be positive, and you need to learn how to communicate in the proper way.
100%. And I want to close because we're on top of the hour. And the key to this is everything what I spoke about of picking up the conversation, finding what's in common, working with your person on the other side of the phone. The most important part in cold calling, and where 99% of all agents fail, what would you say it would be, Avelna?
Sorry, Ron, my mind was wandering. Just repeat that.
Yeah, that's why you lost the sale.
No, Ron, that's not fair.
And the reason why I say that is I'll answer that because she didn't listen.
Okay, Ron, guilty as charged. Just repeat the question.
Because it's all got to do with listening skills. And if you can figure out while listening by using active listening, asking the right question, paraphrasing what they say. Are you on? You said about kite surfing, fantastic. I'm just using kite surfing as a model. Paraphrase and emphasize what he was saying, that he can answer his own question. So through this, you can start working. The biggest problem I've got is I like to interrupt, and my wife normally hits me over with a shoe over the head because I like to interrupt because I want to finish the questions. I've learned to take control and listening to the person and then start chatting to them afterwards. Don't interrupt the person because we know better. Let them always feel they're more in charge of the conversation. Don't take control of the conversation. I mean, it's how you work to get them on your side. So on that note, is there anybody that'd like to ask a question or say something?
Just thank
yes,
you, Ron.
okay. Sorry. Last thing, Ron, that I've learned as well is that like people believe that I was listening to a podcast with people with Trevor Noah and Simon Sinek actually, and they say that people believe that um you can plant an idea, but if they believe that it's their idea, actually it works out. So people perform when they believe they can. I don't know if that makes sense.
100%
So,
because
for example, if I don't take charge, I listen to you and ask the right questions, and then plant that seed in your head, right? And then you somehow start thinking that it was your idea, whereas I'm the one that planted that seed by asking the right questions. It actually works out very, very well because then somehow they think that it's, they're the ones who came up with it. And once they believe that, it actually works a lot better.
no,
And I've
100%.
seen it with buyers as well. Like I never, if a buyer comes to me, I know it's cold calling today, but if a buyer comes, I never show them more than 3 properties. Always say show them two, and then ask them which one should I remove. It's like a pair of shoes. Somebody wants to buy a pair of shoes, don't show them three, show them two, and then ask them, okay, if they ask for the third pair, say, okay, which one of these two must I remove
But
in
Nani,
order for you to see the third one?
sorry, Nani, when it comes to shoes, I think it's a wrong thing to discuss because a woman will work with all the
No,
shoes in the shop.
no, I was giving an example of even with houses.
No, no, I'm just
So
making
someone cut houses.
no 100%. You're 100% correct because the problem is if you understand the wish list, and Nani, you're 100% correct. You know, if you want to do, and you're 100% correct, what you're saying is if you're going to go to a shoe shop and I want running shoes, it's pointless trying to give me high heel shoes because I went in for running shoes because we don't listen. You know,
Mm.
and yeah, and this is what's great because what is the difference between listening and hearing? Do you know what the difference is? Listening and hearing.
Oh, okay, it's here. Yes. So listening is actually like listening to what somebody's saying, but actually not taking it, applying what they've said and listening. Whereas, so that's hearing. You hear them say something, but then you actually don't implement it. Whereas when you listen, you kind of start eliminating. At
Yeah.
least
Noni,
that's my understanding.
Yeah. So
And that's
Nani,
when I'm
can I
correcting.
just jump in there? Sorry,
yeah,
Noni. I think the
Yeah, well,
difference is Vilna was listening. She wasn't hearing.
I've got it a different way. I hear Vilna speaking, but I don't want to listen to her. So yeah. So at the end of the day, guys, much appreciated. If you want to find this video, you get it on my YouTube that you can listen to it and you can share this YouTube out to anybody who wants um to watch it. Thanks a lot. Have an awesome day and we'll see each other next week, Thursday again. Cheers, guys.